Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, welcome to my channel. Today we are venting, and it's a pretty serious topic, so here's your trigger warning now. There's mentions of abuse, psychological and physical. There is also mentions of self-harm, and there is mentions of domestic violence, and there will also be mentions of rape. Now, with that being out of the way, you have been warned. If any of those are a trigger point to you in any shape or form for your mental health safety, I highly suggest that you click away from this video. Do not continue watching. And if you do continue watching, you're watching at your own risk, and I highly recommend that you stop if you feel that it is triggering to you. Okay, now, so I am a survivor of sexual abuse, as well as domestic violence and psychological abuse from a narcissist. I am making this video, well, it's more so a live stream, but I am doing this live stream to get my story out there because there's so many people that are thoroughly convinced that my story, my side of the story, which is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, unfortunately enough, is fake, according to a lot of people. A lot of people think that my truth is not real and are believing the abuser. At the age of 11, I was homeschooled, and we lived on a family member's property because we had lost our own home. I was 11 years old, wearing a skirt, my favorite shirt, which no longer fits me now. It was a black and white striped t-shirt with a pink heart right in the middle of the shirt, embezzled in diamonds. Well, not real diamonds, but like little pink rhinestones. And it was a heart. And it had frilly, puffy black sleeves. And I was doing my homework in a little red brick room that was also the laundry room, that we took a small portion of it to make for my classroom, complete with the bookshelf for a wall and everything. And I was doing my homework, doing my schoolwork, because again, I was homeschooled, when my father, or at least a man that I refer to as my father, that legally adopted me before I was even 5, I think it was like actually 4.5, maybe 5.5, closer area, and he legally adopted me. So according to my birth certificate, and according to a bunch of legal documentations, he was my father. And if you have seen the news, I'm sure you have seen some version of this story. If you've seen the news or seen a news article, they refer to him as my stepdad. He legally adopted me. He is my father. I do refer to him as my stepfather because I do not want to refer to him as my actual father due to the abuse that I had to endure. And it wasn't just me that had to endure abuse from him. It was also my younger brother and my mom. And I saw it with my own 2 eyes, but we'll get into that further along. I was doing homework, and he put his hand on my thigh and then put it under my underwear. And a lot of people, I'm sure, would be like, oh, well, it was what you were wearing. That doesn't fucking matter what I was wearing. I was 11. He is a grown-ass man, well over the age of 20, touching an 11-year-old female that he calls his daughter. That, outfit has nothing to fucking do with it. And he even forced me to watch an adult video on an adult website on his phone. Now, because this is YouTube and I don't want to get like a violation, I'm not going to describe what was in the video or say precisely what it is, but if you know, you know. And that was the first instance of it. It carried on for 7 years of my life. For 7 years of my life, he kept touching me. And it didn't just stop at like, oh, just hand. No. 2 years later, when I'm 13 and we moved from that location to Topok, we were living in a trailer park in a trailer, and my mom was a janitor for our VFW here in Fort Mojave area, VFW Post 404. I don't think it's in Fort Mojave, but Mom worked as a janitor for the VFW Post 404 during this time, and I had a phone, and he would take my phone away from me at night when my mom would go to work. Once she was actually at her job, he would take my phone from me in order to molest me. First time it happened, that wasn't just his hands, and he actually pulled down his pants and entered inside of me. I was in the bathroom, using the bathroom, and it happened right there in the bathroom. And for context, the bathroom is down the hallway near my parents' room, across from the closets and that. And my room was in like the living room area, because we didn't have 2 bedrooms, so I was allowed to sleep in the cab of the RV trailer we were living in at the time, because we had curtains up there. So I did, in a way, have privacy, but I also had an air-up mattress behind these chairs that were the driver and passenger seats, and it was right across from the door. Well, there was multiple times in which he would assault me. And I'm trying to put in like YouTube friendly terms as well, for the record. But it wasn't so much like assault in the form of hitting, it was sexual abuse. He would take my pants off, he would take his pants off and use his member and penetrate me. And that happened a lot of times, and it wasn't just like, oh, 13, blah, blah, blah. No. It was 13, 14, 15, 16. It happened a lot. And yes, there was a time period when we were not together at all, to completely different states, and that was the only amount of freedom I ever got. It didn't matter where we were, it didn't matter where we were living, what I was wearing, who was next to me. It didn't matter to him at all. And there were times where he would do it with my mom in bed with us right next to her, with my brother sleeping right across from us, in hotel rooms with my brother in the same bed as me. If I pause, it's because I'm actually like trying not to throw up about it, by the way. It's not because I need to recollect it. I remember it so vividly to the point that it actually makes me sick, and I'm really trying not to start crying or just dissociate as I'm talking about it, because it is so disgusting and so bad. And if you're a survivor of sexual assault as well, you will understand the sickness that is going through my veins right now. But anyway, back to what I was saying. We lived in multiple places. We lived in Needles. In fact, actually, around like my 14th or 15th birthday area, we ended up living in Needles in another RV park right across from my cousin's house. And again, my mom was still working as a janitor during this time for the same place, but she also had like a job with a couple of banks being a janitor. And he would touch me still, to the point that he would force me to get on my knees and use my mouth on him. And there'd be a few points in time where if I didn't want to do it, he would forcefully spread my legs apart. And I kept trying to get away from him because I had the bedroom at this point. They were sleeping in the living room. I had the bedroom because it was closer to the bathroom and privacy reasons. So I could close the door at this time. I couldn't lock the door, unfortunately, because it was a sliding door. It wasn't able to lock. And I had a mirror that I took off of the door because there was a mirror on the door as well, and it just really freaked me out. So I took it down and I had it next to my bed, off to the side. On the side that I didn't walk around and put stuff so I wouldn't break it. And I kept scooting away from him off of my bed to the point that I fell onto this mirror trying to get away from him, and he didn't care. He kept going, and then I fell on the mirror. I broke the mirror. I luckily didn't get cut by the mirror, but he still kept trying to spread my legs apart and go in between them. And God, I'm shaking while talking about this. Fuck. And the abuse and the sexual assault kept going on to the point that I started running away from home even more. I did so during the time it happened in Topak. I would run away and I'd be gone for hours. Like, I had a destination in mind. I was going to run to my grandma's house. I knew where she lived. I didn't really remember how to get there. I ended up making it as far as to actually go to the Maverick gas station, because this really lovely family just had like this calling to pick me up. I'm like, and they were gonna take me to their house. I'm like, I don't feel comfortable with that, but you know what, whatever, okay. I don't want to go back home though. And I ended up actually going back home because I called my mom, because I couldn't just leave and go to some stranger's house without her knowing. And I really wish I didn't call my mom, but I insisted upon it, so I did. And so I ended up getting my mom to pick me up. Well, it wasn't so much my mom, it was my grandfather who came and picked me up from that gas station, and my mom came and we went home. And I really regret that. But then later on, we ended up moving to Needles, across from my cousin's house, and some way, somehow, no one in that RV park ended up knowing what was happening to me. And I started running away a lot more. Like, I ran away 3 more times. And it wasn't like, oh, just run away and never talk about it. I constantly talked about it. I told my mom a bunch of times. And she, every time, she took it very, very, very serious. So far as to actually drive me all the way to the hospital and try to have them do a rape kit on me. And Arizona laws are so fucked up. Let me tell you guys that. Arizona laws are so fucked up because she took me to the hospital 3 different fucking times because I was telling her I was being raped by this man, and she took it very serious to get me to the hospital and have them do a rape kit, and they refused to do a rape kit. In fact, because I had an episode every time I would have like a very severe episode, because one of the things he did, one of the psychological things that he did to me to try and get me to be quiet, was he would tell me that if I told anyone, they would take my mom away from me. And I cared about my mom more than I cared about myself, to the point where if I didn't have my mom, I don't know what I would have done. Probably wouldn't be alive if I didn't have a mom, to be honest, because, yeah. But that's a story for another time. And probably not YouTube, because I don't want to get another strike. But, so, we end up moving from the RV park to a house, living with one of his co-workers. And I had my own room, they had their own room, my brother had his own room, and I could finally lock my bedroom door. And I would constantly lock it, like I really would. But unfortunately, they had a key to my bedroom door. And I say unfortunately because he would use the key to unlock my door, and it got to a point where I was told I'm not allowed to lock my door. I didn't really listen to that, I would still do so anyways. And it was more so a safety concern, and also, like, I wasn't allowed to lock my door during the day because I had 2 doors in my room. I had the one that leads into my room, and then I had one that leads out of my room into the backyard. And that was the only way that we would be able to take our dogs out, was through my room. And, God, I'm starting to dissociate talking about it. I'm really trying not to dissociate, though, because this really needs to get out there. He would come into my room. Even if I had the door locked, he would just use the key to unlock it and come into my room and touch me and make me touch him. And I figured a few times, okay, if I just pretend that I'm still asleep, he won't touch me because I'm sleeping, right? Wrong. In fact, he wouldn't stop. It'd just get worse and worse. And then we ended up getting kicked out of the house, and we ended up homeless. And then during the time we were homeless, which was quite a while, and we were living out of tents from campsite to campsite, living in the vehicle as well. That's when he wouldn't touch me. So I had quite a few months, like 2 years, I think, of us living in tents from campsite to campsite, and we ended up in Colorado. But it wasn't a solid 2 years, because we did end up having one of his friends end up being nice enough to pay for a hotel room for us, or at least like send us the money to get a hotel room, so we weren't living in the cold in our van. And then he, while I'm sleeping in the same bed as my brother, assault me again. And he would constantly send me photos of himself. He would send me nudes multiple times in Messenger, and he would bribe me to send him some of me, and I ended up doing so because I didn't want to be yelled at for it or told, hey, this thing that I promised you, yeah, I promised you it in front of your mom and that, but now you're not getting it because you didn't do what I wanted. Despite it being wrong and me knowing that and you knowing that and you standing up and saying, this is wrong. So, yeah. And then we ended up being back in our vehicles and that. And then during that time we were living in tents and that, he wouldn't touch me. Except for a few times when we got to Colorado and we were actually in a trailer park and we were living in a tent because they had these tent camping sites that you could have. And there was twice, me and my brother shared a tent and my parents shared a tent. And we were right across from each other. And these were not small tents, they were pretty big, so I had one side of the tent and my brother had the other. And we used a sheet and a weird setup to kind of divide it in half and have a privacy area between us kids. Because we are brother and sister, and yeah. So, he would come in, and because of the way that our tent door unzipped and zipped up, we each had half of the door to ourselves. And he came into my tent side and did it again. And I couldn't stop him because my brother was right there and I didn't want to wake him up and have him witness something. And then we ended up getting a trailer finally, and it started up so much worse. He would continuously touch me now. And that kept carrying on until my mom had enough of his verbal abuse and physical abuse. We, unfortunately, because my mom didn't have any rights to my brother, we couldn't take my brother with us. But my mom couldn't stand to be in the same place as him because he would yell and scream at her. He would kick the dogs. He didn't wash any of the dishes. We ended up in a trailer off-grid at the base of Mount Blanca in Colorado. And we had springs in these clean water areas where we could go to fill up water jugs and containers for water. And we had shower bags so we could take showers. And we also had KOAs where during the summer we could actually have a real shower. And sometimes during the winter as well. Until our pipes froze over and then we had to make do with shower bags. He wouldn't do the dishes. And actually it got so bad to the point that I would sneak into their alcohol and start drinking. And I would actually drink so much to the point that I got drunk off of vodka and black spiced rum in order to deal with the abuse and the trauma and the yelling. He would hit our dogs, he would throw them around, he would throw my brother around and throw stuff at my brother and yell and scream at my mom. And I witnessed a few times here and there, especially in Colorado, where he would push and shove my mom and actually hit my mom and throw stuff at my mom, and he'd just yell and scream, and I couldn't handle it, so I started sneaking to the alcohol, getting myself drunk in order to cope. Maybe if I get blackout drunk, I don't have to realize what's happening, but the problem was I couldn't get blackout drunk. for some reason, and I didn't drink enough to actually get myself drunk enough to actually be drunk. It was more so of the light buzz and tipsy, but still very well aware of my surroundings, and didn't sound or act drunk. And there was actually one time where, like, I had one night where he didn't touch me because my mom got really suspicious and just made sure that there was no one. She didn't sleep, like, at all that night. And he didn't touch me that night, but my mom didn't sleep at all. And there was a few times where we had 2 trailers at one point because we were working on cleaning out the other one so we could actually live in that one and have a working heater. And then, like, the one we were sleeping in at that point was gonna be our storage one. And we could lock the door in that, and we could lock the bathroom door. And he, a few times, locked me in the trailer. Like, actually locked me in the trailer because I refused to let him touch me, and he got mad. And my mom had to unlock the trailer when he left and let me out. And that happened a total of 3 times. And then we ended up going from that trailer to the other trailer, and the door didn't close in that trailer. We actually had to tie a string to a cabinet to the doorknob to close it. And so my hair would, like, freeze to the wall because he didn't want to, like, have us go in the trailer that actually closed because it didn't have a working heater except for, like, a propane tank heater, which you can't really leave on while you're sleeping because it's a safety hazard because fire in that. And it also didn't do very much to keep it warm. But we ended up, as in me and my mom, we ended up packing our stuff without him knowing, and then we just left. And again, we took what we could and who we could legally. We took our dogs with us, except for our rescue at the time, because we didn't have enough room. And we just didn't feel safe taking all of the dogs and leaving them without any of the dogs for protection. So we took the ones he was abusing. And my mom couldn't legally take my brother with us because parental rights or whatever. I don't remember the technical term, but my mom couldn't legally take my brother with us, unfortunately. And we would constantly have to send my brother and my father money in order to get food and that, and groceries, and, like, we would pay for groceries online and have it be set up for them to go to Walmart and pick it up so they had food because he didn't have a job at this time. And we were all getting by with, like, couponing, and, like, my mom had an app called Ibotta that she still uses to this day, and we would constantly use that to, like, save money as much as we could, and we were getting by off of my SSI, and just barely surviving day by day. Not even really living, just surviving at that point. Until we were actually able to have enough money for them to come here so my brother could be safe and be in a proper environment, school and that. And again, it him being there, he kept doing to me what he kept doing throughout ever since I was 11. And again, it didn't matter who was in the bed next to me, it didn't matter who was sleeping across from me, it didn't matter to him at all. And he would still be yelling at my mom and still be abusing our dogs and just making everyone else do all of the housework and all of the cleaning and all the chores, and he didn't want to do anything. And it got so bad to the point that my mom actually eventually kicked him out because we were all tired of the abuse that he was making us endure. And around that time period of him being kicked out, I was talking to my now ex-best friend because we were talking about girl stuff like our periods and that, and I came to the realization of like, hey, I know like I have a hormonal imbalance, so I have abnormal periods, but like this is very, very abnormal. And then she got concerned and was like, hey, have you like used a pregnancy test? You should. So I took her suggestion, I bought one, and I went behind my mom's back. Like I had some money saved up that I was saving for like an outfit or other stuff. So I had a bit of money saved up, and I took that money, and we had to go to Dollar Tree anyway, so I like grabbed a pregnancy test very quickly with my mom went down the aisle, and I scanned in like, hey, double bag this, like I don't want my mom knowing, I don't want the receipt, no. I'm paying cash, no, I don't want my mom knowing I bought this because I don't want to have to answer any questions until after I take it, okay? Cool, awesome. No, I don't have a boyfriend. No, I don't want to talk about it. Thank you. And I went home. I took it when my mom was tending to the garden because we have a garden in our backyard. And she was tending to it. And I went in the bathroom and I took it. And my brother was at school, so he wasn't home. And it came back positive. And the only time I have ever had intercourse was unwillingly with that man. And so I freaked the hell out, and my mom took me to the hospital. Like, my mom told my grandmother, and like my grandmother was going to come down to take me to the hospital because my mom needed to calm down. And we were waiting on my grandma to get here, and then like my mom's like, you know what, actually no, it's probably better if I take her so I don't hunt this man down and like beat his ass for getting my daughter pregnant. And luckily I didn't get any STDs or whatever from him, thank God. They still gave me like medicine just in case while they were waiting on the test results to come back for it. And I ended up making the decision that I don't want to keep this damn kid because 1, I'm still in high school, and 2, I don't have an ideal living situation to take care of a child, and 3, I don't want to keep a child that was born from a man that I called my dad. So I told my mom that, and my mom and my grandmother ended up taking me to a Planned Parenthood place in Vegas where I got these pills that ended up causing a medical-induced miscarriage. And yeah. And then I ended up taking him to court, ended up taking him to trial, and they kept pushing for a plea deal, and it got to a point where, like, I was really struggling with my schoolwork and my mental health and that, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna take the plea deal because I don't want to fail high school, and I really just want to focus on my schooling and focus on healing, and I can't heal even though I'm doing therapy. I can't heal while trying to handle a court case about this very thing and the very person that caused all of my trauma and that I'm trying to heal from. And now it is to the point where I am regretting that choice because he is violating my restraining order that I got against him. He is violating my mom's restraining order that we got against him. He is violating the contents of the plea deal and is lying about it, and the parole officer and everyone is believing him and basically letting him get away with it. And it is at the point where I seriously do not trust the government. I don't trust the cops. I don't trust any government officials now. I don't trust any courts now. I can't even go inside of my own yard without having a panic attack because he has been able to see the house, which he is not allowed to be in the area of the house or in any area where he can see the house. And he has been able to describe what the parking situation looks like, how the truck is parked, how the vehicles are parked, how they're moved around and that. Which means he has seen it and has violated, and my mom brought it up to his parole officer, and his parole officer literally doesn't fucking care. And it is at the point where I wish that with one of the times I ran away, I had gotten abducted and killed, because at least then I would have gotten pregnant by a man that I trusted and called my father. Not to mention the few times here and there where he would hit me because I didn't want to be touched. It got to a point when in Colorado I was doing video calls with people while I was sleeping so they could gather evidence and make calls to get investigations, and no one cared. No one looked deeper. No one actually cared to look into it. Except for apparently my mom, who I feel really bad for my mom because my mom came across so much. And I have told my mom so much now that he's been gone that I honestly really, really feel bad for my mom. Because my mom can't get the mental help that she needs because they say that she's too old, which is a little bullshit if you ask me. Nobody's too old to get therapy, but yeah. And no one cares to look into anything, it seems. And he's lying and people are believing him. And it just hurts because I'm the victim, not him. I'm the one that he touched. I'm the one that ended up going through such a big change with like so little time to recuperate in between. And I lost almost every single thing that I cared about and owned when we lived in Colorado because he wouldn't do the laundry. He didn't want to do the clothes. He would make me and my brother wear dirty clothes unless my mom did the laundry. I ended up having a lot of my clothing just thrown outside by him. And in fact, actually, over half of my entire closet was just thrown outside because he got mad one day and threw every single thing outside. He would throw away my stuff and lied to me about it. Even if I saw it with my own eyes, I was crazy. I didn't see it. It was hallucinating. It wasn't real, according to him. He was a narcissist. Everything had to be about him, and if it wasn't about him, we all got yelled at, all got our stuff taken, all got our stuff thrown away and broken and everything, and we couldn't do anything. And now me and my mom and my brother are all trying to heal, and my brother's able to heal, but me and my mom are seeming to be like stuck in this never-ending loop because he keeps violating stuff, and my mom's trying to get people to actually do something about the violations and protect her family, protect her kids, protect her house, and no one wants to work with her. And my mom's like, oh, they would have listened to you because you're the victim. But the thing is that's not true. They didn't listen to me because I'm the victim. They didn't listen to me. They listened to the abuser. They let him put himself in a spotlight saying, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. I didn't do that. And they believed him. And I have a feeling both me and my mom do, because they lied to us about the plea deal. What I was told was a part of the plea deal was not what he was told was a part of the plea deal. And, yeah. So, long story short, I ended up having to do a court case against a man I called my father, like, for rape. Not even statutory rape, just straight out rape. I didn't mention the physical abuse that I witnessed happen to my family members. Not to mention the filth that we were being forced to live in because he didn't want to do anything. And it was just about him molesting me. And they end up giving him a 1-year sentence, and they let him out early, 1 day early, because of leap year. And I'm stuck inside of this hell, where if I speak my own mind, it doesn't matter. And if I try and stand up to protect myself, it doesn't matter to the government. So to all victims out there of any type of abuse, I feel sorry for you. I really do. The best thing you can do is just get away from that person and never look back. Because clearly the government does not care about protecting its people at all. It protects the abusers rather than the victims. And honestly, I hope that one day someone from a news station or someplace wants to sit down and talk to me about this, because people need to know the truth. And I am not going to sit here and be quiet about it. And I know, like, there's this thing that actually talks to victims about it, because there's an interview that keeps popping up in my feed on YouTube Shorts about a person describing and talking about pretty much the same thing I went through, except for she was a lot younger. And I feel bad for her. I do. I wish I knew her name so I could say it, because wow. But us victims need to be more protected. Not just from the government, but from the community. we need that help. We need that protection, and no one is giving us it, except for the people that truly care about us and try to get us help, only to be met with roadblock after roadblock and threatening to arrest them. So I am going to end the stream here. Thank you for hearing my story. Thank you for listening and watching. And if you enjoy my content, I know you're probably not going to enjoy this video. If anything, you're going to get very upset. Just know that what I said is not a lie. And if that person that abused me is out there and is watching this at any given point in time, I want you to know that you are dead to me. You have abused me, you have manipulated me, and I am now free from you. And I will do better than I have ever done to prove to you that you are the reason that I was held back from everything in life. And to everyone else who's watching, don't comment mean stuff. Don't try and look into it severely. And if you end up seeing the news articles, do not go after that person. He will ruin your life, just like he ruined mine. Or rather, I should say, tried to ruin mine. Do not go hating on anyone. And if you don't agree with my side of the story, that's fine. But I don't want to hear it in the comments. I don't care what your opinion is. My truth is my truth, and that is the truth. Not just my truth, but that is the truth of the whole situation. I don't care what you've heard differently. I don't care what you've seen or heard or who said what. That's that. In the comments, I better only be seeing support and love and care, not hate. I've had enough hate from enough people. I don't need any more of it. Anyway, yeah, I'm never gonna be talking about this stuff again on my channel because I'm not really a drama channel, but I really needed to get my story out there, and I really needed people to know the truth. So, yeah. I will see you guys in the next video that I do. Don't know when, don't know what it's gonna be, but it'll be when it is and what it is. You guys have a blessed day.